Alrighty, hello everyone and welcome to the broadcast as we get straight on in to Champ Select on HorizonCasts. And so glad to have you with us as the first round of bands going to come out here for Sam Houston. Trinamere, the first takeaway there, a takeaway from Talk Show. Probably his most well-played champion just out of the drafting and the scouting I was able to do on him. Some of the champions that he wants to play focus a lot around these independent carry champions. Is Ashen going to be the takeaway there from Texas A? Vigard joining the band here, so some of this top mid-side getting hit here for the side of Sam Houston. Is Lamont going to be the takeaway from Washington to get another popular champion for this RSP squad? So interested to see what Sam Houston are going to prioritize this draft starting out with as we see the Zeri hit the ban list as well. I think a champion that we're starting to see kind of get banned out a lot more as people are discovering its flexibility is Set going to be the first pick there for Texas A. So a pretty reliable mid lane pick in terms of the synergy that he's going to be able to have with a lot of the other champions that Sam Houston may want to pick. They can go into a lot of CC. They can pick a lot of high damage solo carry if they want to as well. Set's going to provide a lot of coverage for some of the areas that they may be lacking. So Kaisa, Diana going to be the first pick there for the replay Stallions, where Sam Houston, they're going to go ahead and lock their top jungle in mid. And are going to be the pick there. It's the second run of bans. So interesting what Sam Houston are drafting here. So a lot of engage in terms of Set and Inari. A lot of independency there. So the ability to roam Set, being able to kind of duel out in the top lane and get a shove going, and he can just roam. Possibly look to invade the jungle, roam mid. Obviously, not having teleport like we've had in the last couple of patches means that Set's not just going to fly down to the bot lane and start big team fights. But he does have the ability to roam in a limited fashion and maybe look for some small skirmishes. And that sets up really well with Ari, with her charm and with her kit as well. And her damage is so good right now with a lot of the items that are out for mages. So interested to see how Puppycat's going to navigate this match. And again, at the beginning of the season, Puppycat having a fantastic performance on that Ari got Sam Houston off to a flying start. As the last couple of ends there, so targeting maybe some more support picks there for RSPs. The Mundo was a takeaway there. Lux as well, so denying some of that safety in the bot lane as well. Was Jin Renata going to be there? Zodiac getting his hands on that Jin, by far one of his favorite champions, and definitely a comfort pick for the Sam Houston bot laner. Is the last pick there for RSP is going to be that Fiora. So interesting team comps drafted here for both of these teams. A lot of skirmishing there for the side of Sam Houston. Set is a champion that needs no introduction in terms of his capability, both as a bruiser and just as a playmaker. The Renata is a champion that we're starting to see a little bit more since she has come out. A lot of high-level, interesting clips that have come out with Renata play. Obviously, the ability to make the team fight each other before a team fight breaks out is going to work well for Sam Houston, who already has quite a good damage profile between the Shyvana and between the Ari. A lot of opportunities there for them to make plays. And just good mobility around the map, too. If you're looking at a lot of these champions, I mean, even the Jin, once he gets to the late game, is going to have quite a bit of movement speed when he starts to build some of his crit items and just with the way his kit synergizes. So interested to see how they play around that. A similar comp here on the side for RSP as well. I mean, Fiora, a great dueling top laner. A lot of capabilities to deny some of the CC that Sam Houston are going to want to land. Obviously, if she goes in that riposte, is going to be able to deny and then turn that damage back on top of them if they try and CC Talk Show for any amount of time. Diana, a little bit more of a popular jungler that we're starting to see now that AP junglers are kind of making a resurgence back in the meta. And so Jaeger going to be wanting to try and roam and skirmish early to get ahead of the Shyvana too, because it does feel like into the late game, the Shyvana is going to be quite a bit more dangerous just because of her scaling ratio and how much damage that she just puts out towards the late game. Again, we're not able to see the runes that these guys are taking right now, so nothing crazy in terms of what summoners are being taken. It's going to be cleanse in the bot lane for Zodiac. Virus Tome rocking that Ignite. Matched again on the side there for Loon, so on the Nautilus. I will say, though, that for this RSP squad, they have quite a lot of safety just in the amount of peel that they have with the Nautilus and with the Zillion. And then obviously team fighting is going to be pretty favorable for them in terms of longer skirmishes, because Zillion can just put his ulti on top of any of the engagers, maybe like Diana or Nautilus or Fiora, and then those people can go in, commit to, the full play without worrying about death, because they're going to get revived, and then the play can still continue. And obviously the amount of peel and setup that they have for Kai'Sa is going to be huge. And conceivably into the late game, that Kai'Sa is going to be their late game carry. Fiora also as well. Going to become that split pressure threat that they're going to be able to utilize fairly well. And in the late game, too, for them, Fiora going to become that sort of split lane focus for them, where Sam Houston's not really going to be able to match that easily, except without sending a couple of members. So it does feel like if that Fiora can get off to a pretty good start, that RSP will have a couple of pressure points around the map to play with. Overall, some very interesting drafts. Not a whole lot of coordinated team fight, just because the CC for RSP beyond the Nautilus is not going to be super reliable. I mean, you're looking at Diana flash in and engage. You're looking at Zillion getting slows, and then Kaiser just following up. You know, Fiora's not necessarily going to be your engager. Whereas for the side of Sam Houston, you have a number of ways you can start fights. You can start fights with Facebreaker and Haymaker on set. You can start fights with Shyvana just flying in, Ahri landing Charm. Renata can even snare people just with that sort of semi-hook that she has in Jhin. It does have some CC, I would say Trap and Deadly Flourish, not necessarily the most reliable of skills with which to start fights, but obviously they do have those available in the long term. So Sam Houston, I think, has probably a few more tools to play around, but some of it is conditional, whereas on this RSP squad, they do have a couple of just point-and-click abilities that can start fights pretty easily, but it's largely going to come down to execution and how well they're able to use those. So I expect to see RSP try and get a little bit of an early advantage if they can, but ultimately they're going to be playing towards the late game, whereas the Sam Houston squad, Jhin is going to be their late game insurance, but with Ahri and Shyvana in the set, they're going to have quite a bit of early game pressure that they can use. I'm not sure whether or not Talkshow might want to go with the Hullbreaker to get that extra split push threat, but we will see as we get ready to load into the game for Game 1 between Sam Houston State University White and RSP Stallions. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and we're on to the Rift for Game 1 between Sam Houston State University White and Replay Stallions Purple. As the pause is going to come out, Jaeger seems to be reconnecting. Always love to start the game with a little bit of pause. As again, now that gives us a little bit of time to discuss some more of these champions and talk a little bit more about what we expect out of both of these teams. Is the client on the right side a little bit buggy, but that's okay. We'll make it work. I think what this Sam Houston team is going to need to do is try and leverage as much pressure as they possibly can to try and get this bot lane ahead. Jhin is typically a champion that struggles a lot in the early game to try and find pressure. Obviously, is always at risk of getting shoved in. Now, yes, the passive fourth shot, providing a lot of damage, gives him some excellent trading patterns, but it does also, with his passive, make it really difficult to consistently shovel lane faster. Against a champion like Kai'Sa that just has the ability to continue to auto much faster, get the minions down, shove with the plasma stacks, and then continue to just look for other opportunities, either at Dragon or other things. So again, interested to see how Sam Houston are going to navigate this early game. They do have coverage both with the set and with the Ahri, so if any kind of early team fight does break out within the first 10 minutes, and they do have all 5 there, the advantage should go the way of Sam Houston just because of how easily they're able to navigate those fights in terms of the damage that they're going to have in the early game, because you are waiting, if you're RSP4, if you were to come online, you're waiting for Diana to kind of build up some damage, and with this Diana, it does feel like she is a champion that needs some kills in order to sort of become this effective team fighting champion. And it's kind of a feast or famine situation where it feels like if she doesn't get kills, then she becomes less and less useful. So again, interested to see how Sam Houston will deal with some of these threats as we are back into the games. These teams running on out onto the Rift. We're seeing just this brief 2-man run in here. So talk, show on mute is forwards, but another pause going to come out here. Not sure what the pause is going to be for, so we will keep you guys updated as we find out to happen. So it appears that a player is stuck in place. We're not sure what's going on there, so hopefully this will get sorted out the next couple of minutes. Just early placement right here with the way that people are running out onto the Rift. I'm not sure if RSP is actually going to want to commit to this sort of bot lane play, where it looks like they're going to try and come through that tri-brush up into this bot side jungle for Sam Houston. Obviously, we'll get spotted out as Texas A is going to go ahead and disconnect, so seemingly is going to reconnect here very shortly. Other things to talk about, no summoners really to be aware of, nothing surprising for any of these members, with the exception of no teleport on Puppy Cat on the Ahri, which is fairly standard, especially with the way that she plays now. And the electrocute is really good with her, and any early pressure that you can get by landing the Ignite, especially landing it on Zillion before he has access to ultimate, is going to give you quite a bit of pressure in the lane. So that is something that Wash is going to have to be very careful of, and something that he may call Jaeger over for to help deal with that early pressure. as we are waiting to see what else is going to happen here. Other individual matchups. The top lane matchup is also going to be fairly interesting because Fiora's damage does take a little bit to come online. And Set is traditionally a champion that kind of bullies pretty heavily in the early game. Obviously has some weaknesses in the late game. Not necessarily bridged over the last couple of patches either. As the play is going to resume here in 1 second. And now that he has... So we are just waiting for the game to start again. Alrighty, and we are back into the game as both of those members of the RSP squad are going to get rooted up. So exactly like we called out earlier, they're going to get spotted out in that early push trying to sneak their way into that jungle. As we are going to see High King reset and ping down towards his red buff, so wanting to do that red buff start. Interested to see what pathing High King's going to take because there are a number of options to try and get that level 3 starting from this bot side there. It's always nicer when you're starting on the top side blue because your way towards level 3 is a lot quicker in terms of just getting blue, Gromp, and then wolves. So interested to see what High King is going to do in terms of pathing. And may look to set up an early game too in the mid lane because Zilean, again, this champion that is going to have to weather through a couple of abilities and weather through a couple of waves of damage before he's going to be able to become an effective champion.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
All right, as we're seeing the friendly spamming of the emotes coming out. He's coming down in that mid lane. His red buff going to get ready to respawn. So this is just going to be a mirrored start for both of these teams in the jungle. Jaeger going to go ahead and try and get this blue buff down as quickly as possible. Speed of ganking is going to be a big factor for both these junglers just because of the game state early on. Both of these teams really kind of needing to get a fairly decent start. So interested to see what pathing these junglers will take in order to try and affect it. Obviously, bot lane always an option, especially with Renata early, just because the access with the slow is Texas A going to miss the grab there. We're going to take some of these trades with Talk Show. Now, Talk Show does not have Conqueror, does have instead the Grasp, so Texas A eating some of that early damage, just trying to get to this level 2. He's going to miss a couple minions. Talk Show going to be the first one to get to level 2. Just being able to zone Texas A off the experience. Facebreaker Shield are going to come out. Texas A likely going to drop here. No Ignite. Talk Show chooses not to finish off the kill, so Texas A going to live for the time being, but he's not going to be in a rough spot because Set really needing to win that level 2 in order to kind of have an advantage in this lane over Fiora, who has admittedly become more damage heavy over seemingly the last couple of patches, and with the items available for her to build, especially with Hullbreaker, it would be very difficult for Set to come back. And again, Set, not a champion that scales well into the late game like he used to, not the same threat that he used to be, you know, last year when he was kind of rocking the meta. Fiora very, very strong right now, and if she did choose to build Hullbreaker, it'll kind of take away Set's only advantage is light trading in the bot lane. Just some health bar trading going back and forth. Jaeger just now taking the red buff, but the timing is in his favor. Fiora obviously having that pressure on the top side means that High King won't really be able to contest for much. Would find himself pretty much killed if he did go towards that scuttle, so is just going to choose. As a pause is going to come out again. Host of errors this game so far in terms of the client, so waiting to see how that's going to resolve itself. Early game state right now, definitely RSP favored just because of the way that Fiora has the shove. Obviously, this is being traded for pressure in the mid lane, but right now across the board, I would say RSP has the advantage just because they have shove and bot, shove and top, which gives them access to the entirety of the map. Wash could just sack a couple of ways if he wanted to help either the jungle or the top lane, gank something. So right now, the tempo very much in the hands of Replay Stallions and just waiting for this pause to continue. I'm sorry, for this pause to end, and we will keep you updated on exactly what that pause is going to be. Alrighty, and we're back for hopefully the final time in this one as all the players giving up the ready signal. So Texas A, again, back in the top lane, just trying to recover some of the tempo that he lost. Again, Fiora just being able to get that early trade, forced him off the wave. He's going to get sorry, I forgot the name of that ability. Is just going to land the E to get the pullback on the Talk Show. Texas A now ticking over to level 4. So Talk Show going to continue to try and look for chances to bully in this top lane. Again, as the pause to allow for timer went through there. And Jaeger looking for a gank from Puppycat is going to miss the Q. Puppycat going to get slowed, is going to eat one bomb. Second one is going to get stunned, but Wash charmed up. Should be Sam Houston mid laner staying fairly safe. Will lose the majority of their health, though, so we'll have to back off as it's going to be the get over here ability for Set. As now the Conqueror's proc base breaker, dodged out though by the riposte. So Talk Show going to be fairly healthy after that one, even despite eating a couple of the autos. And I think Texas A doing a fairly good job to try and reclaim pacing in this lane and grab pressure over this RSP top laner. The bot lane, though, Jaeger finally making his way down there. Able to get both Scuttle Crabs, though, and that's what you get when you have pressure both in the bot and the top lane. So going to be the happy recipient of both that money and that experience. Talk Show just trying to trade something here. Texas A, he's going to eat a turret shot for trouble. Lands Face Breaker over it and has a minion wave stacking. So Talk Show not going to want to try and shake this trade into Texas A, who now has the Conqueror proc. Texas A has flash, could look for a combo, but with riposte up would likely die to turret. So this should just be him shoving this wave in. No jungler for either of these top laners to affect the lane. So it would just be a pure one-on-one. Talk Show tipping over to 5 now. We'll have that second point. He is going to get grabbed up. One more auto likely would do it. Texas A going to eat the turret shot in first blood going over to Talk Show, but it is traded. But still, that extra first blood gold going to be sitting in the pockets nicely of the RSP top laner. Good play there. It looked like Texas A for a moment was going to be able to survive that, but ate the extra turret shot. So that combined with the riposte and the auto, more than enough to take him down in the end. But still traded away, though, so not the end of the world for Texas A. It is going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Interesting selection and buy, though, there is... Iron Spike Whip was in the inventory of Talk Show for a moment. Decided to sell it. Interested to see what they'll prioritize if maybe they think they can get something else instead. Is going to be that Caulfield's Warhammer. And Set coming back with the boots. On the whole of it, I would say probably the boot's going to be better for Texas A just because it's going to allow him to soak some of that damage, going to give him some speed, and allow him to get on top of this Fiora just a little bit easier. So I think definitely a superior buy just for him for the time being. The Caulfield's Warhammer is fine, but with Texas A having 6, now this is a large wave. Talk Show also ticking over to 6. Is going to get the riposte and is going to land a stun. Texas A, can he get out of this one? A couple more marks. Facebreaker. Going to give him a little bit of shielding. Talk Show not able to get the other sides of the ultimate. And now that that's timed out, Texas A could look to try and trade something back here, though. But Jaeger waiting in the wings. No vision on him as of yet. Looking to invade on this top side. He's going to get spotted out by Siobhan as soon as he rounds that corner. And Texas A does have boots, can't get to the fight fairly quickly, so it depends on how bad Jaeger wants to try and fight for this large wave underneath the turret, though. So if that Texas A were to leave, it would mean the loss of a lot of gold and a lot of experience. Puppycat trying to land the charm, not going to land it, though, so Jaeger just going to reset. Nari just going to continue to shove out this wave. As Luna's going to get rooted up. Nice grab by Lyra Stone to pull him back. And that Glacial Augment, a rune a lot, as something we're starting to see a lot for any champion that has a point-and-click slow or a skill shot slow, so anything like a hook or an auto stun or anything like that. Between champions like Leona and Nautilus, Blitzcrank, so a lot, and even Vigar in some instances too, in the instances where you're seeing Vigar support, not in pro play, but in some higher level play, like in Champions Queue. Is Texas A gonna land knock together ability? Nothing. Wanted to see if he was going to follow that up. Decided not to. Does have the ultimate available. Would be risky to try and take it while Talk Show does have her paused up. And Talk Show's ult's going to be up here soon on the Fiora. So again, just harder to trade for Set right now. Actually, fairly short cooldown on that ulti for Fiora. Okay, just about a recap here. A small gold lead right now for RSP. Only a couple hundred gold for the time being. Is just incremental advantages in the lane. Though Texas A has started to gain the CS lead in that top lane after weathering that matchup fairly early on, as High King's going to disconnect again, so likely another pause is going to be coming out. And yes, that pause is going to come out. So, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the technical difficulties that we are having here on the broadcast. We'll do what we can to keep you updated as we get details as to why the game is being paused. And hopefully these technical issues will work themselves out here soon. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back into the game as we had a PC restart there for High King, as this is going to be the momentary pause for the stream. Sorry for the spectator client to allow for the amount of time to pass as necessary, so we'll wait for that to catch up. So overall game state right now, just a slight advantage for Sam Houston as they've started to kind of catch up in some of these CS differences that they needed to, especially in the top lane. Texas A falling behind sort of in those first early couple of minutes is now back into a lead, 47-38 in that CS lead. And again, I think the better buy right now with the boots, so is in a pretty good position to start making things happen around the map. And neither of these junglers really having an effect on the game thus far. Again, it's a fairly quiet game besides the early kill in that top lane and around that level 3-4 mark. So look to see these junglers start to get active very quickly, especially now that they've ticked over to 6. A lot of plays to be made. Bot lane level 6 there for Sam Houston, so that gives them priority in terms of the tempo and in terms of the damage that they're going to have available to them. Pickaxe there for Zodiac, along with the boots completed. So, again, a boots rush here for the Sam Houston team. And it's not a bad play either, because it gives them a couple of advantages in terms of being able to move around the map, being able to dodge abilities, and some damage resistance that they otherwise might not get just by buying some components for their main item. And again, glad to see so far that Lyros hasn't prioritized getting too many trinket wards, just because of the amount of cost that those trinket wards do carry. Is Texas A waiting for that riposte to run out? Is going to eat a turret shot, though, trying to run in and get that auto with the bonus movement speed. As now, Lyros going to get spotted out here, is going to grab Loon, who's going to ult him up. Lyros likely going to die here, pops the ultimate. And now all of those members of RSP going berserk. But now Zodiac going to open up the ult. What can he do? Doesn't manage to get one. Does in the end. Loon going to fall for that one. 1-for-1 in that bot lane. But this is going to be the Dragon going over to RSP. And the trade for supports in the end. But tempo again for RSP. Even as I say that, though, Puppycat looking right now is pretty healthy. Has the ultimate. Has a lot of mana. The Dragon is going to go down, but what's it going to cost them? Washed mid already using the ultimate. That is going to time out now. What else can they get? Zodiac still harassing the RSP jungler. Puppycat going to get tagged up. Flash out. Jaeger not going to have to do anything. He is going to watch mid down. Jaeger going to fall as well. Zodiac picking up a couple of kills on that one. 2-0 and 2 for the Sam Houston bot laner. Fantastic fight by Sam Houston in the end. Yes, they do give up the Dragon, but they end up getting a couple more kills in the end, so not a bad trade for them, and the gold going exactly where it needs to on Zodiac. He's going to have a pretty healthy buy when he gets back. Start to look. So interested to see what item he's going to build, because Pickaxe does build into a number of usable items for Jen, so interested to see what he's going to prioritize there. Could be the Kraken Slayer. Not sure what he'll decide to go. And again, a game devoid of any pressure for these top laners beyond the 1v1s that they've been having in the top lane. So Sam Houston, I think, coming out better for that one. Is it is only one Dragon right now, so not necessarily going to be the end-all for Dragons. Is Talkshow going to flash out. The ultimate going to expire now, but forces the flash from Texas A. Texas A going to get out with his life there. But is going to concede pressure as the wave shoving into Talkshow, who is eating a bunch of these minion autos. Those things do hurt quite a bit. Ping's coming down there, so Diana trying to make her way into this top side river. Is just going to pick up the scuttle, but no vision there for Sam Houston, so they don't exactly know where this Diana is at. Could be bot as a fight starting off in the bot lane. Loon going to land the hook. Is going to get pulled back in, though, and he's just going to die. Does have flash available, but not going to use it. Zodiac going to pick up another one. 3-0 and 2 on this Gen. Double longsword, feeling pretty good. And if you're RSP, that's not what you want. Gen takes a while to come online, but if you give him extra gold, he starts to accelerate out of control very, very quickly. So the Sam Houston bot lane are going to be very happy to have that one. As he steps up, going to land the grenade and continue to shove these waves in under turret. Is a little bit of CS down, though, but that's going to be more than made up for in the turret plates that they're about to get. No dive set up right now for this Sam Houston bot lane, though, just with no extra help. Not like you're going to want to try and fight the Kai'Sa underneath their own towers. Texas A, again, shoving this Lave into this top lane turret, trying to deny as much farm and XP as he can from Talkshow. Jaeger going to get spotted out on the ward. Not going to start the Herald up right now, though, with tempo both in top and mid lane going against him. Would not be able to start it up safely. Is getting pinged out, too, so they know he's there. Sam Houston, do they want to play around this? It's tentative positioning right now. Jaeger not sure if he wants to go in. Is going to pop the shielding for now. Jaeger going to get the proc off right now. And the both junglers here. High King, what else can he get? The ultimate going to come out for Jaeger. He's going to be the first to drop, though. And Talkshow trying to survive a little bit right now. Texas A going to run straight into washed mid. Ultimate coming out for Talkshow. They're just trying to wait for that to time out. Can he get away? One more Q going to go over there for Shyvana, but not going to drop the RSP top laner. Fantastic response there. Again, a bit of a tentative engage there for Jaeger. Not sure whether or not he wanted to try and run in on Texas A or whether or not he wanted to just try and back off in the end. Got his hand forced by Texas A coming in on him. And then, of course, the rotate from Puppycat, enough to knock him down. But then in the ensuing teamfight after that, just not able to find enough damage to knock down Talkshow. And with Zillion there in the wings, offering that resurrect, just very difficult to knock Fiora down. So ultimately a fairly even trade for them. I think the biggest really loss there is Jaeger didn't blow flash anything, but that ultimate down for washed mid is Pyre stuck underneath this turret. Doesn't have really anywhere to go. One more shot would do it. And it's going to get him in the end. Zodiac on a rampage 4-0-3. Has the Gale Force, has the boots, and is well and truly online now. This is a very, very fast-moving ADC. Very difficult to lock him down now. It looked like he wanted to try and stun Zodiac there, but chose not to. Diana not choosing to path down there. So Sam Houston in the driver's seat right now. About a 3,500 gold lead for them. Sorry, just under 3,500. Once again, pressure still mounting in these lanes. Fairly even across the board in CS at this point. Itemization, though, is the biggest thing, as it is just going to be that Manamune for Pyre. A trade for the Gale Force there on the side of Sam Houston. No boots yet completed for the RSP bot laner. Jaeger sneaking into this Tribrush here. Don't know if he was spotted out by Texas A. I don't think so. So won't know that he's here. Talkshow has the red buff. If they choose to gank this, Texas A will die. Just trying to draw pressure. Jaeger still waiting. How long is he willing to sit in this bush? Because bot lane, there is something developing in terms of that dragon. They can make that play there. Is Jaeger going to try and jump in just to force Texas A out? Is going to get grabbed. Conqueror proc is going to get grabbed back in with the ulti towards the turret, but not close enough. As in the bot lane, it's going to be a gank. Ultimate coming out from Loon. Does still have his flash, but not going to make it out. Lyra's going to grab Pyre, but not going to collect that kill. In the meanwhile, top lane, Texas A going to drop there, but it is going to be a trade for the dragon. So Sam Houston fairly happy to get that one into 14 minutes. Even if they decide to go take this Herald, it's not going to mean much. No plates to play for. So Sam Houston, they're happy with that trade, I think, in the end of it. You know, you're getting more gold onto this Jhin, who's now 5-0-2. Gale Force, online boots as well. And Zodiac going to be sitting very, very happy right now. He's going to be very happy with this turn of events. So Sam Houston, and now they're just feeling themselves. They've decided they're going to deny a lot of these jungle camps and take as much gold and resources as they can. Pyre clearing off that ward there. Herald eventually going to drop in that pit there, but a little late to make anything happen right now. No setup. Jaeger going to be the one to hold on to that one. Now Iron Spike Whip completed for both of these top laners, as well as the Caulfield's Warhammer, but again, the boots difference actually not even there anymore. As Texas A fancy himself a fight, but chooses to go instead to the lane. And Jaeger trying to respawn in that jungle is going to back and have that empowered recall with the Herald. Now, with Dragon up in another 4 minutes, it makes the timing of this Herald play, a potential Herald play, very difficult for RSP, because when they're going to try and drop it, they're going to have to find a team fight in order to make the most use of it, because if they drop it in the solo lane, because there's no turret plates to play for, and because they're not going to be able to get the second one by the time they drop that one, because it won't, just timing-wise, they won't be able to get it before the Baron comes up. It means that they're going to have to win a solid team fight in order to make the most out of Dragon, or they're going to have to get a significant pick onto someone like Zodiac. Is why to get his top lane? Texas is going to drop below half. This Fiora with a Gore Drinker should just be able to win any 1v1 against Texas A. High King waiting there, though. I think in that instance, if Talkshow were able to get the shielding out and get the riposte, might even win that 1v2, but not going to chance it there as a recall coming out for both of those Sam Houston players there. So I'm interested to see what RSP want to try and do with this Herald. You know, do they want to try and place it mid and just put a little pressure so they can go to Dragon? Do they want to try and find a fight in the bot lane? No, instead choosing just to pop it top lane. No, again, no plates to play for. This turret is fairly healthy. And Puppycat is making their way up towards this top lane. Talkshow just trying to put pressure on Texas, see what he can get. Jaeger is going to jump in right now. Puppycat here is going to get charmed up. Facebreaker more than enough to knock it down. Puppycat going to be the recipient of that one. Talkshow, what can he get? Is now the ultimate coming out from Texas A. Teleport going to come out from Zillion, who could have just ran there. So the teleport, a fairly interesting move. Texas A trying to survive right now. Ultimate going out on top of him. Talkshow going to get charmed up, is going to drop, and now the ultimate's going to timeout for Washed. And he's not going to be able to get away from this one. Flash is going to use the Everfrost, but no, he's going to drop. Double kill for Puppycat. And a fantastic response from Sam Houston. And a play that looked like it was going to go RSP's way gets turned exactly on its head when it needs to be for Sam Houston. Is this crying cat emo going to be flash for Puppycat? And we're going to put a little bit of extra damage into this turret in the top lane. And Sam Houston now getting that bot lane turn as well. Going to shove out, get this mid turret as well. So Sam Houston winning across the board right now. About a 5k gold lead for them, maybe a little bit less. Facebreaker going to come out, and the turret going to drop in the top lane. As Puppycat almost take that extra turret, would have dropped into critical. So all of the first outer turrets there, the first line of turrets down on the side of RSP. Sam Houston knocking down those neutral objectives, and now they have free roam across this map, so it's going to be a lot harder for RSP to contest for some of these neutral objectives. It's going to be difficult for them to have safety in and around their lanes. And Sam Houston doing a fantastic job to get the gold where it needs to be in a lot of these carries. Texas A 2, 3, and 3 has the Gore Drinker in double cloth armor, so going to be a little bit more tanky now. Most importantly, Lord's Dominic's regards, along with that Gale Force there for Jen. So he's not only going to do a tremendous amount of damage, but he's also going to shred through any of the armor that some of these members of RSP might try and build. Sam Houston, their next move, likely going to be to try and set up around some more of these neutral objectives, dragging in about 50 or so seconds. And again, with that Herald play being done the way it was in that top lane, again, no chance for RSP to trade for another potential Herald. 12-4 right now is the score line. So RSP, what do you want to do if you want to try and get back in this game? You need to try and get some of the shutdown gold on a couple of these key members of Sam Houston. You want to look for Puppy Cat, want to try and get on top of Zodiac. But it's so difficult when they're grouped like this because Sam Houston just have the ability right now to pick fights on their own terms, and their damage is much higher than anything that RSP can answer with right now. And especially if you're getting set up like this, Puppy Cat waiting in this tri-bush here. If RSP step forward too closely and their carry's the wrong position, they're going to drop instantly. They don't check this brush yet. They don't know the Puppy Cat is there. This is a fight that Sam Houston could want to start. And RSP just trying to make their way into this river and get some setup on this dragon. Is Loon going to get rooted up right now? High King has full rage bar, looking to set something up. Teleport available for Talk Show. So Sam Houston, they want to try and bait this top laner out. Talk Show backing off to do the potential teleport. Is going to do that now, so it's a little bit early. And Loon going to hook up on top of the mid laner there, but no, it's going to be a 5-man ulti from Lyros. Fantastic spotting on that one. It's a double kill for Puppy Cat. It's a triple kill for Puppy Cat at the end, and Jaeger going to have to scatter to the win. RSP not able to get that one. Puppy Cat going to check this one. Jaeger, what can he get? Absolutely nothing, as it's a quadra kill for Puppy Kill. Sorry, Puppy Cat is Puppy Kill. Sam Houston, a fantastic play. Loon trying to land that hook, but landed it to his death. Lyros with an amazing 5-man ultimate. If I had replay, I'd put that in super slow motion to show you just how sexy that ultimate was. Fantastic placement of that ulti to get all those members fighting and grouped up like that too, forcing the highest damage members of this RSP squad to target the carries, and then Sam Houston damage piled right on top of it. And across the board, Sam Houston is winning right now. 8-0-2, 5-0-5 on Gen. Sam Houston well and truly in control of this lead, and this is now officially their game to lose. And even the Boltless gold that's available on the map for RSP, not enough to bail them out of this one right now, so they're going to have to find some serious team fights and get a couple of picks to get back in this one. And I think what's been amazing, too, is Sam Houston's awareness of where they need to be on the map and the improvement that they're showing from last week in that series loss. A couple of mistakes that they made, taking some rush team fights, and a couple of team fight objective mistakes that they made around a couple of their carries. But some of those lessons seems to be have learned in the positioning of those carries, like Zodiac and Puppy Cat on that Jhin and on that Ahri. Superb placement. Just not getting caught out by any of the members of RSP. Yes, the hook does land in that fight from Loon, but in the end it just amounts to nothing because the rest of the team tries to pile in there, and they're so close to each other that Renata ultimate more than enough to get the fight started off right. So Sam Houston now have the ability to transfer this pressure into this Baron if they choose to do so. Wash gonna dodge out from the deadly flourish there. And if you're this RSP squad, you want to try and start putting pressure anywhere on the map that you can. No hull breaker for Fiora, so that split push threat not exactly online yet. Their first turret is gonna fall. They're gonna get the bonus gold for that. But ultimately, not going to amount to much right now as the gold lead just so massive. For the Sam Houston squad, Pyrie trying to get out of this one, blows the heel. Can he find his way out? No. It only takes one shot. Zodiac 6-0-5, just dominating in this game. Just so difficult to stop Jhin when he is this far ahead, when he does have these kind of items. And Sam Houston may just look to start the Baron. Fiora gonna get spotted out on this ward right here. RSP, do they even want to try and contest this? No. Talk Show just going to back in that brush where he stands and ultimately going to give the Baron over. There's nothing they can do right now. The ping is coming down a little late to try and contest this. Not sure why they would choose to call it off. Talk Show, they know he's there. Talk Show gonna possibly get caught out there. No, they are just gonna let him leave. Now Sam Houston gonna look to reset themselves and start to shove out some of these waves. You start to get the siege going onto this RSP base. Again, you just saw a couple of outer tier 2 turrets before you can start to try and take a crack at the inner structures of the base before you can try to get at some of those inhibs. But Sam Houston in a pretty good spot right now in terms of damage. And I think fairly difficult for RSP to find anything, even if they do find an isolated member, because Sam Houston grouping up and denying them that chance to even get in the game, to even find a couple of those members. As again, they just sweep for wards. Again, going to be the reset from the Sam Houston bot lane, and look to see them group and force towards this bot lane. Again, as they continue to shove waves. If you're RSP, you do have a couple of things going in your favor. So your Fiora is not drastically down. 158 CS, well above Texas A. Does have the Gourd Drinker, is working to try and complete that second item. Likely going to be a Hydra. Not sure what that might build into with the Vampiric Scepter there. Could be also Ravenous. I'm not sure which one that builds into. There are a number of items that use Vampiric Scepter that would be pretty good on Fiora. I mean, even a Blade of the Ruined King would be pretty good on Fiora at this point, just for straight dueling. So interested to see what they're going to turn that into. But you do have a couple of ways in which you can try to win this game. Obviously, it's going to become more useful in terms of utility and in terms of cooldowns as the game progresses. So it's going to be able to land those slows and keep some of these members of this RSP squad alive, particularly Fiora and the Kaisa when they start to look for team fights. And then obviously Nautilus still your go button for this team. Still able to start fights when they want to, so long as they're landing on the right members. But it does feel like the follow-up has to be exactly on point for this RSP squad in order for them to have any chance to win these team fights. They do have to knock down a couple of these members because the Sam Houston squad does have quite a bit of damage across the board between the Shyvana, Ahri, and Jhin. I mean, hell, even the Renata to some degree has quite a bit of damage, especially when layered correctly with the other CC that Sam Houston has. Is Loon going to get rooted up there, double root there as the flourish comes out from Zodiac. And just clearing out these wards, denying the vision completely from RSP, not giving them any information with which to use to try and contest this objective. And Talks are going to be very late to get out here, so this should just be the Dragon go over to Sam Houston, their third, which puts them on Dragon Soul. Texas A just going to draw out some engage there from RSP. The force going wild. Ultimate going to come out on top of it. And this is going to be the ulti on top of follow-up from High King, and now the fight has started off in earnest. RSP, can they get themselves out of this one? They've got to survive this in order to make it out of the Baron time, but no, Puppy Cat going to go legendary. It's another going to drop there. Resurrect coming out. Hayuri going to drop. It's a double kill for Puppy Cat as the rest of Sam Houston starting to clean up. Loon going to drop as well. Triple kill for Puppy Cat. And it's a quadra kill in the end. His second of the game. Sam Houston, they're going to put their stamp on this one. Respawn timer's just too long. And the first game going their way. A very, very clean performance from this Sam Houston squad. 23-4 in the end. Fantastic effort from Zodiac and from Puppy Cat. Great team effort. Just fantastic play across the board. And they're going to advance to 1-0 in this series.